The silk whispered against my fingertips. It was a delicate, almost ethereal sensation, as if the fabric itself was alive, breathing softly in my hands. The texture was smooth, cool and inviting, a stark contrast to the warmth of my skin. I could feel the intricate weave of the threads, each one meticulously placed to create this beautiful piece of art. It was a cool, comforting whisper, like the ghost of Mum's hand on my cheek. The sensation brought back a flood of memories, each one more vivid than the last. I remembered the way she used to gently stroke my face when I was upset, her touch always so soothing and reassuring. The scarf seemed to carry that same gentle energy, as if it was imbued with her spirit. Emerald green, shot through with threads of silver, it had been her favourite. The colour reminded me of the lush gardens she loved to tend, the silver threads like the glistening morning dew on the leaves. It was more than just a piece of fabric. It was a symbol of her elegance and grace, a reflection of her vibrant personality. Now, folded carefully in the back of her drawer, it felt like the last tangible piece of her. Each fold was a testament to the care she took in preserving her belongings, a habit she had passed down to me. The drawer was a treasure trove of memories, each scarf telling its own story, but this one was special. It was the one she wore on special occasions, the one that always made her eyes sparkle with joy. The scent of Lily of the Valley, her signature perfume, clung faintly to the fabric, a sensory echo of a life past. The fragrance was subtle yet unmistakable, a delicate blend of floral notes that instantly transported me back to happier times. It was as if she was right there with me, her presence lingering in the air, comforting and familiar. Clutching the scarf to my chest, I inhaled deeply, the sharp scent of grief momentarily eclipsed by the comforting familiarity of Mum. The fabric felt like a bridge between the past and the present, a tangible connection to a time when she was still here. It was a bittersweet moment, filled with both sorrow and solace, a reminder that while she may be gone, her memory would always live on in the little things she left behind. My brother Daniel stood awkwardly in the doorway, his face etched with a familiar grief. We were meant to be dividing Mum's belongings, a task that felt as emotionally fraught as dissecting her very being. Daniel, ever practical, wanted to donate everything. He saw these objects as mere artifacts, their significance extinguished with Mum's passing. But I couldn't bear the thought. To me, each item was a thread in the rich tapestry of her life, a tangible link to her memory. The scarf was my first act of rebellion against the sterile efficiency of Daniel's grief. I draped it around my neck, the silk cool against my skin. A jolt of comfort, of connection surged through me. It felt right. As the days blurred into weeks, I found myself drawn to Mum's other belongings. Her cashmere cardigans, her pearl earrings, her favourite floral dresses. I wore them all, each piece a talisman against the gaping wound of her absence. Daniel noticed, of course. At first, his disapproval was a subtle tightening of his lips, a barely perceptible frown. But as the weeks morphed into months, and my attachment to Mum's things intensified, his frustration grew.
Sarah, don't you think you're holding on a little too tightly?
But I couldn't explain the comfort I found in these echoes of her. The way the feel of her silk blouse against my skin could momentarily silence the ache in my heart. The scent of Lily of the Valley became my constant companion. I sprayed it on my wrists, on my scarves, even on my pillows. The air around me thrummed with the ghostly presence of Mum, a bittersweet comfort in a world that felt strangely empty without her. But the line between remembrance and obsession blurred with frightening speed. I found myself mimicking her mannerisms, her speech patterns, even her handwriting. It was as if, by assuming her external trappings, I could somehow resurrect her essence within me. The chasm between Daniel and me widened. He saw a caricature, a pale imitation of the vibrant woman we'd both loved. He begged me to seek help, his concern tinged with an unwelcome note of fear. But I wouldn't relinquish the fragile peace I'd found. Mum's possessions were my armour, her persona my shield against the unbearable pain of her loss. It all came to a head on Mum's birthday. The day had been circled in red on the calendar for weeks, a stark reminder of the impending emotional storm. Everyone had been on edge, trying to keep their emotions in check, but the tension was palpable. Daniel had organized a small gathering, a few close friends, her sister and us. The living room was decorated with balloons and streamers, a feeble attempt to inject some cheer into the somber atmosphere. The air was thick with unspoken words and suppressed grief. I arrived wearing Mum's favourite cocktail dress, a shimmering emerald green that mirrored the scarf I refused to be without. It was a piece of her that I clung to, a tangible connection to the woman we had lost. The dress fit me perfectly, but it felt like a costume, a role I was playing in a tragic play. The scent of lily of the valley hung heavy in the air, a suffocating cloud that seemed to amplify the tension in the room. Those flowers had been Mum's favourite, and their presence was a bittersweet reminder of her absence. Every breath I took was filled with their fragrance, a constant reminder of the void she had left behind. When Daniel saw me, his carefully constructed composure crumbled. His eyes widened in shock, and for a moment, he looked like a lost child. The weight of his grief was visible in every line of his face, and I could see the struggle he was going through to keep it together.
"This is too much, Sarah," he breathed, his voice raw with anguish. "You're not her." His words cut through the air like a knife, and I could feel the pain behind them. He was right, of course. I wasn't Mum, and no matter how much I tried to fill her shoes, I could never be her. "You need to let go." His voice was barely a whisper, but the message was clear. Holding on to the past was tearing us apart, and it was time to face the reality of our loss. As I looked around the room, I saw the same pain reflected in the eyes of everyone there. We were all struggling to let go, to move forward without her. It was a breaking point, a moment of reckoning that we could no longer avoid. The balloon floated up into the sky, a symbol of our need to release the past and embrace the future, no matter how uncertain it might be.
His words, sharp as shards of glass, pierced through the fog of my delusion. Looking around the room, I saw the thinly veiled pity in their eyes, the way they averted their gazes from the spectacle I'd become. The weight of their judgment, coupled with Daniel's raw pain, hit me with the force of a physical blow. The familiar scent of lily of the valley suddenly felt cloying, suffocating. The silk scarf, once a source of comfort, now felt like a noose around my neck. It's been 2 years since Mum died. 2 long years filled with moments of sorrow, reflection, and an unending search for closure. Her absence is a void that I have tried to fill with memories, but they often feel like sand slipping through my fingers. 2 years since I stood in her bedroom, surrounded by the remnants of her life, and tried to stitch together the shattered fragments of my own. Her room was a sanctuary of her essence, every item a piece of the puzzle that was her life. I remember the overwhelming sense of loss, the feeling of being adrift in a sea of emotions, trying to find something to hold on to. I no longer wear Mum's clothes, no longer seek solace in the fading scent of her perfume. Those early days, I would wrap myself in her sweaters, hoping to feel her warmth, to catch a whiff of her familiar scent. But as time passed, the clothes became just fabric, and the perfume just a scent. They couldn't bring her back, and I had to let go. But the emerald green scarf remains. It is the one piece I couldn't part with, the one item that still holds a piece of her. It was her favourite, a gift from her mother, and she wore it on special occasions. To me, it symbolises her spirit, her elegance, and the love she had for her family. Folded carefully in my drawer, it serves as a reminder, not of a lost identity, but of the enduring power of grief, and the fine line between love and obsession. Every time I see it, I am reminded of the strength of our bond and the pain of our separation. It is a tangible connection to her, a way to keep her memory alive. Sometimes, in the quiet of the night, I can almost feel the ghost of its silk against my skin, a haunting echo of the past. It is in these moments that I feel closest to her, as if she is right there with me, comforting me, guiding me. The scarf is more than just a piece of fabric. It is a symbol of our unbreakable bond, a testament to the love that transcends time and space. And though the pain of her loss will never fully fade,